It's your girl Kelly with another video. Bow! What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another reaction. Today, we will be reacting to top 5 Olympic athletes who were caught cheating. Yeah, cheating. Yeah, cheater. Anyways, I ain't gonna hold y'all no longer. I don't want this video to be too long, okay? So follow and subscribe to Top 5 Central. Do that.
Number 5, Marion Jones. There's no doubt about it, cheating is always bad, but when you're one of the most famous athletes in the world, getting caught can wreck your whole career. Marion Jones was one of America's most famous Olympians, winning 3 gold medals and 2 bronze ones in the 2000 Sydney Olympics.
I have no idea who this is, but her face is very familiar. I think this might have been before I was born, or not before I was born, but when I was young, like I wasn't really into news and stuff like that. It was probably a different time. If not, then I guess I was just living under a rock.
The thing is, it turns out that those great results weren't just down to hard work and dedication.
Okay, yeah, 2008, I was in like middle school, I think. It doesn't matter.
They were also down to a steroid known as the Clear. That's right, Marion took steroids for 2 years starting in 1999, meaning that if she had played fair, she might not have won any medals at all. On the one hand, she was initially told that the steroids were just a nutritional supplement and was basically tricked into taking them by her personal trainer. However, even once she realized what was going on, she
didn't fess up, which is why both her and
her coach ended up on trial.
Well, so it's kind of crazy because I have like just recently watched this documentary where they were talking about these performance enhancement drugs, PEDs, PEDs. They were talking about these PEDs, and they were saying how they're pretty widely used and widely known in that realm, like so bodybuilding and Olympics and things like that, and they are used in a sense that like people don't really, I guess, consider them performance enhancement drugs. And so with that being said, they have kind of got away with using these PEDs, and it's just not fair. Like, so one of them, I don't want to misspeak, but like I think one of them is like growth hormone or whatever. That's a huge one, but there's also like these vitamins that accelerate like recovery and things like that. So obviously, the quicker you recover, the better you are as far as, you know, muscle strength and stuff like that. And then another one is like it helps you lose weight faster. So these are some of like the PEDs that have been used, and they're not really considered PEDs. Like people normally just consider them as like PEDs as steroids. But I don't know, but it's kind of unfortunate when you see somebody like this who kind of gets in trouble when it's widely known that everybody in these sectors use this type of stuff. It was a really good documentary. If I could find it, I might link it, but probably not.
With criminal charges. Should've just stuck to protein shakes and spinach, in my opinion. Number 4, Cameron Vanderburg. When you think of athletes cheating, chances are you're thinking of steroids, or at least some other kind of performance-enhancing drug. That's not the whole story, though. Many people cheat without using any kind of substance at all. Instead, they break the rules by being sneaky. Here's some background info. In competitive swimming, there's a moment where everyone pushes off the wall at the same time.
The starting block.
Straighten out into an arch. That's completely normal, but if you add some extra power behind that move, you get a kind of kick that can push you faster through the water. Sounds like no big deal, I know, but that extra push can make a major difference. And it's so difficult to detect and police that judges decided to just let it happen.
Yeah, so this is definitely accurate. This is definitely true. I used to be a swimmer. If I can find some of my swim stuff just laying around, normally I swim in high school, but this is just 3 goggles right just in my room. Yeah, I used to be a swimmer, and this is very, very accurate. A lot of swimmers are aware of this with certain strokes. So there's freestyle, which is just normal swimming. There's breaststroke. There's butterfly, and backstroke. So with certain strokes, they are really big on certain like forms of kicking and things like that. Breaststroke is huge, and what he's talking about is a huge. Like they are really particular and really hard on that. And when I say they, I mean officials. Like there are really people and cameras in the water so people can see if you're caught cheating or anything like that. In the Olympics, you can see that. But it's not at high school level. It's not that bad. But I think college level, they still like they'll film you and stuff like that. So it's huge in swimming, and people definitely get disqualified all the time for false starts and the wrong kicking formation. Because that extra kick really does matter because it can get you farther faster.
The problem is, people have been pushing that rule as hard as it can go, and adding as many kicks as possible to get the best head start.
Exactly.
That caused Cameron Vanderburg some serious problems, because he was caught adding 3 whole kicks to the start of his swim.
I think it's like 2.
Now that's already insanely bad.
But no, it's just 1.
Was a world record breaker, and probably wouldn't have been if he had followed all the rules that others had to. Oops. Number 3, Dora Ratian.
The thing about this
story is, it starts out pretty strange, but it only gets so much weirder the more you learn. The short version is that the German team had a man secretly compete in the women's high jump in 19...
Man, I heard of this. I have heard of this, and I don't... Man, I'm mad. I forget. Okay, I'm going to just listen to the story, but I have heard of this particular case, and this is messed up. And speaking of that, have you guys heard about the woman who is transgender and she's boxing and she's now cracked 2 women's skulls? If you know what I'm talking about, how do you feel about transgenders being able to compete in sports? Do you think it's okay and it should be allowed? Do you think it's an unfair advantage? They have an unfair advantage? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But let's get back into this.
To give them like an extra advantage in the competition. Now that's pretty scandalous already, but the real story is, well, way more complicated. I mean, it did give them an advantage. Dora Ratian's jump got them the gold medal and was also a world record breaker. However, the German team didn't let a man compete on purpose.
Dang, did y'all see the swastika? Check the swastika. Check the okay.
Didn't actually know he was a man.
They were representing.
And, you know, it's a women's tournament. As a baby, the nurse couldn't tell exactly what gender Dora was, but went with female in the end because she thought it was more likely of the two. Dora was christened as a girl and brought up as one, but the older he got, the more he realized that just wasn't true. He was actually male, but kept living his life as a girl, since that's what it said on his birth certificate after all. He grew up, got really into sports, and ended up making it onto the women's Olympic team, all without his fellow teammates or the German government finding out the truth.
Wow.
Ben Johnson.
Okay. I actually didn't know this situation. I didn't know. So maybe he was a hermaphrodite, and they just went with, the nurse just went with that. I think
Olympic races are intense.
Dang. I think that situation was is different. It was differently handled more than how it is now. That's crazy, like, because he had boobs and everything, so I'm assuming that he was a hermaphrodite. He might have had the male genitalia or something. Who knows? But that's still, hey, I don't know. See, I feel like I'm kind of ignorant to this topic, and I don't really want to talk about it because I don't want to offend anyone or anything like that, because I don't know what I don't know, you know? But I feel like hermaphrodites may have the hormonal imbalances, so maybe their hormones lean more on one side than the other. So say they have male genitalia or both genitalia, but maybe the women's hormones are expressed more than the males, so estrogen is expressed more than testosterone, maybe. So that's why they grow boobs and have like more feminine features and qualities.
Hence now, but believe me, they've got nothing on the 80s. I mean, in 1988, the 100-meter sprint was one of the most talked about races ever, since 2 arch rivals were about to rematch, and nobody knew what would happen. Basically, it was Lewis versus Johnson and a battle between Canada and the US, and the two were pretty well matched. Like, Lewis had won the gold medal 4 years before, but Johnson had beaten him 6 times out of 7 in their previous races, and even held the world record. No one knew which way the race would go, but Johnson started out a fraction quicker, and that was enough to bet.
Wow.
Johnson refused to shake Lewis's hand after the race, but apart from that, it seemed like he had won fair and square. People celebrated, the Prime Minister of Canada rang up Johnson to congratulate him personally, and then there was an announcement. Johnson had failed his drug test. He was stripped of his medal and his world record and sent home in disgrace. Not a great day for Canada. Here's our honorable mention. So anyone who's ever seen the Olympics will know that China takes competition seriously, especially when it comes to gymnastics. With that said, in the 2000 Sydney Games, they took things a little too far, and it cost the athlete involved her reputation. Dongfang Zhao was a star. She won bronze in the Sydney Games, as well as bronze in the World Cup, gold in the East Asian Games, and gold in the National Games. However, long after she shattered her thigh and then had stopped competing in 2001, her career ended for a whole other reason. She had said that she was 16 in 2000, the minimum age to compete, but she was actually 14, 2 years too young to even be eligible. Now you'd think the Chinese government would take the blame, right? Well, not exactly. Instead, they
Wow.
family and called the whole thing a conspiracy, making her life so miserable that she fled to New Zealand to teach. In fact, the whole thing caused so much drama that Chinese training centers were investigated, which revealed that young athletes were hung from bars for hours at a time, and sometimes even sat on to keep their legs and arms thin. Yikes. Here's our second
What? They were sitting on little girls and forging their documentation just so they could compete. I'm just so confused. They were doing this to younger gymnasts. Wouldn't they have older ones that were even better than the younger ones? Like, what was China really doing?
I'm sure by now you guys have read about or even watched a ton of rags to
This is kind of just like that,
but just in reverse. Boris Onishenko was a triple world champion, as well as an Olympic silver medalist, and it pretty much doesn't get better than that. He showed up to the Montreal 1976 Olympic Games, planning to bag another medal, but let's just say it didn't go completely to plan. I mean, his strategy wasn't even to play well, it was to have a special electrical cheating system in his glove. The glove let him squeeze his hand and add points to his score without having to land a single strike on his opponent.
Yes.
I know, but he just wasn't sneaky enough, and his rival noticed that he wasn't actually being hit when Boris got points. He immediately went to the judges who examined his gloves, and bam, he was exposed for everyone to see.
Obviously, he was banned from competing, but he was also shamed so hard that he abandoned the sport altogether. He's now a taxi driver in his home city and really doesn't like to talk about his—
No way.
Number 1, Michelle.
How do they even know that? No way. Like, how? How do you know he a taxi driver now? That is insane. Because if he was that embarrassed, he's not going to tell anybody who he used to be. Like, no way.
Smith. Now, there's a lot of ways to cheat at your chosen sport, and we've seen plenty on this list, but I think this might be the grossest one yet. I mean, this girl literally manipulated her own urine sample just to win, which out of all the ways to cheat, definitely isn't the most noble. So the question is, why did she do it? And more importantly, how? Well, Michelle Smith was a pretty incredible swimmer with 3 gold medals in the 1996 Olympics. The thing is, that was pretty late in her career, and up until then, her performance hadn't been that incredible. People were obviously suspicious of how she had improved so quickly and so much, but she had passed all her drug tests with flying colors. In the end, it came out that she had tampered with her urine samples, adding alcohol to mask some kind of performance.
Yo, that's smart. That is smart, because once you learn science and stuff like that, and you can see how these chemicals and molecules are manipulated when you add certain substances. Sorry, I still got this list. Substances, that's genius, man. Alcohol, if y'all need to know.
It's, well, pretty gross, but it actually kind of worked. Like, she was allowed to keep her medals since there was no technical proof of what she—
I was about to say that.
But she was banned from swimming for 4 years though, so it's not like she completely got away with it.
So she must have got banned based off of speculation, which is kind of messed up. Like, we just think you're doing this. We can't really prove it, but you still gonna get banned. That's kind of messed up. Obviously she did, and I'm not trying to take up for her, but I mean, alcohol is genius. Moral of this story is just don't cheat. Don't cheat. Do what you need to do and be the best. If you're the best and you put that work in, it'll show. You know what I'm saying? If you don't got it, you ain't got the sauce. But until next time, y'all, Kaylee is out. Peace.